Today, we are talking about a truck that had to travel a total of 8,500 kilometers. But the issue was not just about how to make the truck cover such a long distance. The real challenge was that the truck was carrying a massive block of ice, which had to be delivered intact through the blazing heat of Africa, a place where even metal can soften. The truck had to spend 10 days in these conditions, and the challenge was to ensure that the ice didn't melt, and that too without refrigeration. This event dates back to 1958, when the whole world's attention was on a single block of ice weighing 350 kilograms. This ice block had to be transported from one corner of the world to another, and that too without refrigeration. The starting point was the city of Rana in Norway, and the end point was Libra, a city in Central Africa. But why was this being done? Why was the ice block being taken so far? This all began a year earlier, in 1958, when Luxembourg, a country in Europe, hosted a very famous radio station known as Radio Luxembourg. The station issued a unique challenge to its listeners. Anyone who could transport a 3-ton ice block from Europe to Africa would be given a grand prize. Radio Luxembourg decided that for every kilogram of ice transported, they would pay 100,000 francs, equivalent to $16,000 per kilogram today. So transporting the entire 3-ton ice block would earn about $48 million, a massive sum. However, there were some strict rules. The ice block had to be transported in one piece, it had to be moved only by road, and no refrigeration could be used. Radio Luxembourg offered such a huge reward because they were confident that it was impossible to transport such a large ice block from Europe to Africa. The journey was 8,500 kilometers long, with 2,500 kilometers through the scorching African desert, where temperatures can reach 50 degrees Celsius, hot enough to melt ice within minutes. Radio Luxembourg issued the challenge, but little did they know how difficult it would be. For months, no one dared to take up the challenge until Birger Natvik, managing director of the Norwegian insulation company Glass Wool, accepted it. Birger Natvik believed that his company's insulation material could make it possible to complete the challenge. If successful, he could earn a lot of wealth for his company and employees. This news spread worldwide, and Birger Natvik formed a team to undertake the challenge, making headlines in various newspapers. When Radio Luxembourg learned about this, they feared they might lose a huge sum of money and withdrew their offer. Despite this, Birger Natvik decided to go ahead with the challenge, believing that even without the prize money, the publicity would benefit his company. The journey began on February 22, 1959. The ice block was transported in a specially insulated container placed on a truck. The initial part of the journey was easy, with favorable weather and good roads. The truck and its crew were greeted and cheered by people in every major city they passed through. The publicity grew as the journey progressed. In Paris, they even received a special protocol to pass through crowded areas, and the mayor of Paris hosted a dinner for them. After a week, the truck reached Marseille, where it was loaded onto a ship to cross the sea. Upon reaching the other side, conditions changed drastically. The truck was now on African soil, facing extreme heat that posed a threat to both the ice block and the truck's engine. The team had to deal with the risk of dehydration and security threats from freedom fighters hiding in the mountains, who could have used the truck and its crew as leverage. To mitigate this, the French Foreign Legion provided security in certain areas of the desert, instructing them to minimize stops. Despite the challenging conditions, the team persevered. They slept in sleeping bags on the sand and slowly made their way towards the destination. After 28 days of arduous travel, the truck and the remaining ice block finally reached Libra. Upon opening the container, it was found that out of the original 3,050 kilograms, 2,714 kilograms of ice remained. Only 336 kilograms had melted during the journey. Even though Radio Luxembourg withdrew their offer, the challenge was a success. The ice was distributed among the locals, who had never seen ice before. Birger Natvik and his company didn't receive the monetary reward, but the publicity significantly boosted their sales.